If you thought Carter's story was finished after the shocking Season 1 finale, this new look at Dutton Ranch Season 2 could completely change everything you thought you knew. Because one question is now taking over the entire Season 2 conversation. Is Carter actually dead? Welcome back, Yellowstone fans. Today, we're breaking down the biggest mystery surrounding Dutton Ranch Season 2, the shocking image of Carter being carried by Rip, Beth's reaction, and what this could mean for the future of their new life in South Texas. And the most important thing to remember is this: Carter's fate was never completely settled. At the end of Season 1, Carter found himself caught in a situation far more dangerous than anything he had faced before. His connection to Beth and Rip had already transformed him from a troubled young man into someone who was slowly becoming part of their family. But then everything changed. Carter was kidnapped by the cartel, putting his life directly in the middle of the violence surrounding Beth and Rip. And now, this Season 2 image gives us one of the most disturbing clues yet. Look carefully. Rip is carrying Carter in his arms. Carter looks badly injured. His clothes are covered in blood. Beth is standing directly beside Rip, and the entire scene appears to take place near an emergency room. That detail alone raises a terrifying question. What happened to Carter before Rip got there? Was Rip able to rescue him at the last possible second? Or is this actually the aftermath of something much worse? Because if Carter survives, Season 2 could become a completely different story. And if he doesn't survive, the consequences could be devastating. Let's start with Rip. Rip has never been the kind of man who easily shows his emotions. He's violent, calculated, and willing to do almost anything to protect the people he considers family. But Carter became different. Over the course of Season 1, Rip began to see something of himself in Carter. Carter was young, angry, damaged, and searching for somewhere he belonged. Rip understood that better than almost anyone. That's why Carter's possible death could affect Rip in a way that few other deaths could. Imagine Rip arriving too late. Imagine him carrying Carter through those emergency room doors, knowing that he couldn't protect him. That could push Rip into one of the darkest revenge missions we've ever seen from him. And then there's Beth. Beth's relationship with Carter is complicated, but beneath all of her sarcasm and toughness, she clearly developed a protective connection with him. Carter became part of the strange family Beth and Rip were trying to build. So if Carter dies because of the cartel, Beth isn't going to simply move on. She could decide that somebody has to pay. And that's where Dutton Ranch Season 2 could become explosive. Beth and Rip were supposed to be building a new life in South Texas. They were trying to escape the endless conflicts surrounding the Dutton family name. They wanted a place where they could finally have something that belonged to them. But the events of Season 1 proved that running away doesn't necessarily mean the violence disappears. The cartel threat followed them, and Carter may be the person who pays the ultimate price for that conflict. But here's where things get even more interesting. What if Carter actually survives? What if this image isn't a death scene at all? What if Rip gets Carter to the hospital just in time? That possibility could be even more important for Season 2. Because surviving an experience like this would change Carter forever. Carter entered Rip and Beth's world as a vulnerable young man. But after being kidnapped and facing death, he could come out of Season 2 as someone completely different. He could become harder, more aggressive, more willing to fight, and perhaps most importantly, more like Rip. Think about that for a moment. Rip has spent years trying to protect Carter from becoming the kind of man he became. But what if protecting Carter is no longer possible? And if Carter starts thinking like Rip, Beth could find herself with an entirely new weapon on her side. But there is still one massive question. Why would the Season 2 story show Carter being carried in Rip's arms if his fate wasn't important? This image is designed to create uncertainty. It doesn't give us a clear answer. Carter isn't shown as officially dead. Instead, we're shown blood, injuries, Rip's desperate expression, and Beth standing nearby. That's exactly the kind of visual mystery that makes fans ask questions before Season 2 even begins. And the biggest question is whether Carter's story will become the emotional center of the new season. Because Dutton Ranch isn't simply about land anymore. It's about family. It's about survival. And it's about what people are willing to do when someone they love is threatened. If Carter survives, Rip and Beth may have to confront the fact that their new life in South Texas is already surrounded by danger. If Carter dies, they may completely abandon the idea of living peacefully. Either way, Carter's fate could determine what happens next. And there's something else we need to remember. Season 2 is expected to expand the South Texas storyline and continue building the world around Beth and Rip. That means the conflict surrounding them is only getting bigger. The question is whether Carter becomes a victim of that conflict or one of the people who finally fights back. So, is Carter dead? Not necessarily. This image gives us a terrifying possibility, but it doesn't prove that Carter is dead. In fact, the blood and injuries may be there specifically to make us believe the worst. And if Dutton Ranch follows the kind of storytelling fans have come to expect from the franchise, there could be another twist waiting underneath this apparent tragedy. Maybe Rip saves Carter. Maybe Carter survives and begins a completely new chapter. Or maybe this is the moment that destroys the fragile family Beth and Rip were trying to build. Whatever happens, one thing is clear. Carter's fate could be one of the biggest emotional storylines in Dutton Ranch Season 2. Because this isn't just about whether one character lives or dies. It's about what happens to Rip if he loses someone he promised to protect. It's about what Beth will do if the people she loves are threatened again. And most importantly, it's about what Carter becomes after everything he's been through. So before you assume Carter is dead, look at this image one more time. Rip is carrying him. Beth is beside him. The emergency room is behind them. And Carter is still here. That means there is still a chance. But if Carter survives, don't expect the same Carter we knew in Season 1. Because after the cartel, after the bloodshed, and after coming this close to death, Carter may finally become exactly what Rip never wanted him to become. A survivor, a fighter, and possibly the next dangerous man standing beside the Duttons. And if that's where Season 2 is heading, then Carter being alive could actually be far more dangerous than Carter being dead. So what do you think? Is Carter really dead, or did Rip get him to the hospital just in time? And if Carter survives, will he become more like Rip? Let me know your theory in the comments, because Season May 2nd be setting up Carter's biggest transformation yet. And if you want more Dutton Ranch Season 2 trailer breakdowns, theories, spoilers, and ending explanations, make sure you stay tuned. Because this story is only getting started.